defense techniques for self-defense. You're gonna hold your hand in the middle of your walking stick. You do this to warm up so you can stay safe while you're training. Of course, you're not gonna warm up before you hit somebody with your stick for self-defense. You'll just immediately employ it. But in training, it makes sense to keep yourself safe from injury so you can train as much as you can to get as good as you can at self-defense. Do this for 30 seconds on one wrist, put it in the other hand, and then 30 seconds here. This is gonna build some power, some strength in your grip, in your forearm. It's gonna improve the health and the strength of your forearms and your shoulders, your elbows. Everything gets stronger with this move. Do that for 30 seconds. Then you're gonna take your hand, put one hand on each side, and you're going to simply open it and close it. Going from side to side, you're doing this. Hello, it's good to see you. Popped up and out real quick. But you're just going from side to side. You're gonna feel this activate all the muscles in your forearm. When you start to strike using your stick for self-defense, you wanna have a powerful grip. This is gonna help you improve your grip. Just going side to side, do that for 30 seconds. Then you're gonna push it straight and back, all the way out using the weight of your walking stick to improve the strength and the power in your forearm. You want a strong, powerful grip when you learn walking stick self-defense techniques for self-defense. I say self-defense twice because this is not playing around. This is not stick fighting for fun. Hello, student. Thank you for that generous gift. Merry Christmas. This is self-defense. You're going to be using your 36-inch stick, although you can use a shorter one or a longer one. It's up to you. Now that you've warmed up the wrists, the forearms, got some strength in there, going to the side, to the front, to the back, you can make circles. And I'm using this 1.25 inch diameter oak 36-inch walking stick. This is also known as the Japanese or Okinawan hanbo. It's where a lot of these techniques come from. Some of them just come from a traditional police or military riot baton. But you do this to really build, you want as much power in those forearms as possible. Those are your warm-up techniques. I want to talk about getting it into self-defense position immediately. You'd be walking with your walking stick. Your hand is on the top of it. You're going to slide your hand down the back so that you have a little bit of the stick popping out of your thumb side. From this position, you're going to immediately pick it up and thrust it right into his face, his throat, his solar plexus, anywhere you can to stop him, to try to move him back. He comes in, he's trying to hit you, maybe he's got a bladed weapon like a knife. You slide your hand down the back and immediately put it into his face for self-defense. Now, it doesn't have to be a hard, powerful strike because you're using the hard wood against soft tissue, against nose, teeth, throat, solar plexus. So from here, your hand slides down the back, pick it up and thrust. The second motion after this thrusting motion, you can bring this back and turn your whole body, striking with the long part, creating distance between you and the threat. You can punch your hand over and bring it over and down. Think about temple. Think about breaking his jaw. Think about hitting him in here, knock him out for self-defense. You can bring it here. You can bring it sideways. Bring it into his neck, into his arm, into the elbow. Maybe he's reaching at you with that knife, smashing right out of the way, trying to break his arm, break something. So from here, first motion, striking, second motion, bring it up, over. And I like you to build combinations when you practice. You also need to practice both hands. Slide your hand down the back, punch and turn. Punch and swing. Practice this motion slowly at first when you do your walking stick self-defense techniques for self-defense, and then slowly, gradually increasing your speed, different angles of attack. Maybe you're bringing it down to the legs from here. One, maybe it's a vicious animal trying to attack you. You can punch him in the face. Bad guy, take out his leg. 1, 2. It's a very powerful, very fast, very explosive strike. Again, if you bring it up to the top, my goal is to knock him out. I want you to knock him out for self-defense with your walking stick self-defense techniques for self-defense. If you can knock him out, that's great. From here, you can also put it into a blocking position. Maybe he's jumping on top of you. He's coming at you, swinging with something, his hand, a knife, a baseball bat. You block it, put the other hand on your wrist, let your hard piece of wood, let your walking stick absorb that impact. From here, then you can put your other hand on it and do a thrusting motion right through his face. So maybe he's attacking here, I'm gonna block him here, step and thrust. Anytime you thrust, I like you to bend the knees first, try to lower your center of gravity, weight up your legs, weight the springs. Think of the springs on a truck. It goes down when you take the weight out, it goes back up. When you go down, you load your springs, and then you explode, and all that energy comes through the tip of this hard piece of oak into his solar plexus, into his throat, into his teeth, into his nose for self-defense. So a blocking motion, second hand against your body, step and thrust. And practice these in combinations, going slow at first, gradually increasing your speed. 1, 2, faster, more explosively, and practice so that when you have to use it for real, you're used to the motion. Put it in the other hand, same thing, blocking motion, thrusting motion. Block, thrust, block, thrust. Now, since I've got you here in this position, I want to talk about changing your hand position without taking your hands off. You're going to slide your hand from one side to the other side. One of my favorite blocks with this weapon is lifting your back elbow up. I think of a chicken wing. Just lift this up and see how tight you have that to your ear. Your bicep is almost touching your ear. From here, and then sliding into a striking motion. Blocking, striking, blocking, sliding through and striking. So from here, your hand comes here into here and you strike like this. So from here and strike, up and strike. One, as I think about it, I think someone like Studer, some of you guys could become, Infinity J says, this will help with the teaching grandfather. Yes, absolutely. Teach it to someone else and you'll learn it faster. But I like this motion, Studer, for blocking, striking, getting the hands more comfortable, going from one side to the other side, even down, striking to the knees, pull and strike, lift and strike from side to side. But Stuart, I was thinking we need to give some of you guys who are on this chat, who are here, you're regular members, you support me all the time, either with your comments or by watching, by participating, by training with me in the virtual dojo. And we need to come up with some moderators because I can't always find who's in the chat, and every once in a while someone is a little silly. It's very rare, but having somebody who can take some action on that. So from here, lifting and striking. Starts in this position, slide your hands, let it turn. Once you get this basic motion down, bring your hands out to the sides, then turn it, go in one direction. Do that 10 times, try to get it smooth. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast is really important here. Give yourself time to get used to the motion, then go the other way. Starting to go the other side. Once you get that motion, then practice that over the head, striking over the head, just from side to side. And then put the feet with it, put it in that hand, slide your hand down the front side of the stick this time. You're gonna lift it up, point it at the threat. You can do a thrusting motion to start, a blocking motion second, and then changing the feet and coming forward with that third strike that you just practiced. So in this position, slide your hand down the front, not the back. Down the front, the opposite foot is forward, point it. See how that's immediately locked to your hip? That's so if he grabs the end of your staff, you can make a turning motion and you'll knock him off of it. He won't be able to take the stick out of your hands. So you slide your hand down the front of your walking stick, point the stick, step with the thrust, pull the back hand up for the block, change hand positions, striking with the right hand and stepping with the right foot. So this is your right hand, which is back. Your hand slides down the front. The left hand grabs it, thrust, step back this time to block, step forward on the strike. Then as you progress, slide your hand on the front, point it, thrust, step off to the angle, coming forward and striking with that other hand. So the other side is here, and starting to strike really hard. Thank you, Infinity J, so he's subbing. I appreciate that. Put it in your other hand. Left hand slides down the front. Point, thrust, block. Left foot forward as the left hand comes forward and strike. You can also just practice this in combination. 1, 2, 3, without putting it on the floor. Strike, block, strike, strike, block. And then you can start changing the angle. 1, 2, going in one direction, sliding back to the other direction. And here, changing positions, coming to the front, and just get a full workout going around and around and around, just striking, 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 without ever taking your hand off of your walking stick or your hanbo for self-defense. Now, speaking of sliding your hand down the front, I want you from this position to just pick it up. Imagine that's his groin. You're gonna stick that right up between his legs and hopefully lift him off the ground a little bit, get his attention, stop him there, step and thrust. Strike, and if you miss it, maybe you hit him in the chin. Maybe he's reaching for you with his hand and you smack his hand out of the way. Strike, strike, block, come forward, and knock him out for self-defense. From here, pop it up, pop it up, 2 hands on it, blocking to the side and strike. Now that's your next combination. Put it in your left hand, slide down the front, pop up between his legs, put your right hand on it, thrust, block, changing positions, and there's finish them off. Always finish them off with a follow-up strike at the very end so that you can go through. Does a crook or handle give the strike that much leverage? It does. Studer, in my opinion, now I'm not a scientist, as you know, so I don't have any scientific data, but if we grab the crooked handled cane for self-defense, I can tell you just from the way it feels, especially when you hold it with the crook out, there's a ton more leverage. And especially in this position, you can do a one-handed strike very easily, where with your walking stick, you can do a one-handed strike, but you have to have a really strong grip so that it doesn't slide out of your hand. So it would work really well with this, and it does work really well with this, but I do prefer this one a lot better. This is also great when you use your self-defense cane, bringing this up to the side of his head for self-defense. It's very fast, very explosive, and if you use one made like this, it's going to create a lot of damage for self-defense. See if I can get that back. Nope, almost got it on the wall without dropping it. All right, so we have the hand in this position, pop it up, step and thrust, block, work your combinations on that one. So there are 2 main ways that you're going to be carrying the walking stick as a walking stick, walking with it, or getting it into self-defense position. You're stepping. Most walking canes will have a rounded knob at the top. You probably have your own fancy one, or if you're like me, I put all the basic materials below. This is a 36-inch dowel rod. This one is 1 1/4 inches. It's made in oak. I get 3 types of sandpaper. I sand it down. Hello, Garens, good to see you. Yeah, Garen says use the crook like a tonfa, swinging it. But you sand it down with a really coarse grit, and then a medium grit, and then a super fine grit, and then oil it. I've switched. I've been using linseed oil forever, and then one of you told me that the modern linseed oil is full of metals, heavy metals, that then get in your skin when you use it. So I've switched to butcher block oil because you can eat off of your butcher's block. David says, as usual, good info. Thank you, David. Thanks for being here. So I've been using the butcher block oil, and I just picked that up at Lowe's, and there's nothing bad in it, and it feels so smooth. And it wipes away, it never gets tacky, doesn't go rancid, and it doesn't get like super sticky like some of the other oils, some of the other finishes do. So I've been making all the new ones that I sell to people here out of the using the butcher block oil. So you make your own, but I put the links below if you want to see what that is. I'll add the link to the butcher's block oil instead of the linseed oil. But from this position, you're either going to slide your hand down the front or you slide down the back. Yeah, so from here or here. Thank you, Studer. That's a great comment. Said we should do more of this, the leverage. So you're coming here or you're coming here. The other way you might be carrying it is just like this. And I've said this many times, in the morning where I live in my neighborhood, it's mostly retirees. And there's a retired police officer. He's very elderly and he moves his body every single day. So you've always got to keep moving. He's either riding his bike or he's walking his dogs. But when he's walking, he's always carrying a stick that's almost this length. It's about 4 inches shorter, and it's a police riot baton that he carried when he was a police officer. And he carries it for the same reason that we carry it, self-defense. Self-defense mostly against dogs attacking his dogs, because that's happened. Recently, just one neighborhood over from ours, was a pit bull on the loose, mauled 3 dogs, killed each one of them. They just grab them, snatch them up, and an alert went out on the neighborhood app or whatever, watch out for this dog, and then they finally picked it up. But if you're out there, you're walking, that's a real concern a lot of people have these days, is other animals attacking their animals, not being able to defend your own animal. And for a lot of people, their animal is like their the child, right? It's like a member of your family. And it's happened to someone in my family where that exact same thing happened. They lost their dog, pit bull, and he got all bit up trying to get the pit bull off of him. And if you have to defend yourself, you have to defend your loved ones, you have to defend your loved ones or your animals. You defend them all the same, right? And you defend yourself. So carrying this every day, this can be an option on your daily walks. Just a simple staff. And if someone says, "Why are you carrying that big stick?" You say, "It's a self-defense stick. I'm carrying it to defend my dog against wild animals or against wild dogs that are off the leash or whatever, vicious animals that are attacking, or myself or whatever." You don't have to explain yourself. Self-defense is your human right. It's your God-given right. Anyway, so you're carrying it like this. I want you to turn your palm up and chop down the tree, right? So from here, bring it to here, and you can strike this way, right? Coming off of that shoulder, not from out here, but off of that shoulder, always keeping the strikes within the center of your body, within this frame. From here, put it in this position, you can strike, you can thrust, you can slide your hand down, change it over the top, take it over the bottom, and now bring it down on top. This is a practice that I suggest you adopt every day. Sliding to the ends, change position, slide your hand to the end, turn it over, this one turns over. So your hands slide, turn over. That's the same thing we were doing when we were doing this. Now you're just using it to strike. This is a great way to get your heart rate up too. Do your vertical strikes down. Do that for 30 seconds. And then come off the shoulders for a diagonal strike. You can do those diagonal strikes head level, ribs level, knee level, just striking from side to side. You can thrust, change positions, change hands, change which foot's forward, thrust, and the hands are just doing that sliding motion. All that from holding it here, you put it here, now you're ready to strike, do whatever you need to do to defend yourself, defend somebody that you love or something that you love. So from here, striking and sliding, practice that sliding. From here, you can also turn your hand over so you're like in a push-up position. One of my favorite strikes is just pushing straight through the teeth, the nose, the eyes for self-defense. It's extremely powerful. You would not believe how powerful this is. When you close that circuit and you push both hands at the same time, this hard piece of oak goes through the nose, the teeth, the mouth to knock somebody back. From here, pushing side to side, just like when I was in the Marine Corps, the pugil sticks, fighting with your rifle. This also works if your hands are in this position. Just feels different, so you should practice both. This also works in this position. Striking here. In this position, striking to the knees. Blocking up, blocking down, blocking from side to side also works. In this position, block up, block down. Somebody's on top of you. By holding your hands here, you have more leverage to knock them back. Once you knock them back, strike it like this. Now there's an Irish shillelagh, or the shillelagh is the city that it comes from. The Irish shillelagh, and Sensei Emmett's here. I love talking about when Lugo and Sensei Emmett are here, we like talking about stick fighting, Irish stick fighting. But it says turn of the wrist and striking. You could have your hand here and coming down, striking over the top. But from here, adopt this practice, and you're using this hand to kind of pop off of or push off of, striking from one side to the next, turning your shoulders into it to get more reach, to get more powerful, to go faster, hit harder and harder and harder, and just practice. And you don't have to have a bag to hit. You can practice striking in the air. You can practice, you might have a pole, you can wrap it with old carpet. That's what we used to do in the school. We had these poles that held up the roof, keep it from falling on your head. The schools were always in the basement. And then we would wrap it with carpet, really thick, and any extra padding we had, and then duct tape all the way around. And they have great striking surfaces. They're great to punch. It's like a makiwara. It doesn't move much, but it's got to move a little bit or you'll injure yourself. But you have something to practice with, or if you don't have anything to hit, just practice in the air. Don't let not having a bag be a reason not to practice your strikes. All the strikes in the air are going to work out. You're going to feel your arms. My arms, just from doing this video, I feel it now. I'm not as sore as I would get from doing a bunch of push-ups, but your shoulders especially, you're going to find that your shoulders get so strong and powerful just from any time you lift your arms above your head. You start doing these strikes, it feels so good. It's gonna heal anything that's in there. I'm not a doctor, don't take my medical advice, but just my personal experience. It gives you a lot of strength. All right. Anyway, you guys have been awesome. I really appreciate your being here. Studer, again, thanks for that generous gift. You guys keep taking care of me, and I really appreciate it. It's the end of the year. I'm trying to reach a certain amount. It's basically pay my bills for this school to keep it going, and we're getting close. So I appreciate all your generosity, especially when you come back and give me those super thanks and those thumbs up. But just participate, just work out with me. That's really the most that I need. And you guys have been awesome. I'll see you again. We're gonna do a bunch of these this week because I have more